Hello, folks. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. I hope you all can hear me well. If you can, please say yes in the chat so I know that this is working. I have been fighting with technical difficulties for the last 30 minutes. So thank you so much for being patient with me. This stream is only being broadcasted on YouTube because technical difficulties. So welcome everyone and thank you so much for joining me. Let's see if you all can hear me. Yes, audible. Okay, awesome. Hi Suresh Kawar. Hi Adiv MT. Kingo's Gaming. Caught you. Yes, nice to meet you here. How are you? Ishrit, welcome. There's some messages before the stream started as well. Webhub, eagerly waiting for you, Shruti. Hi, Webhub. No worries, take your time. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Ishrit. So sweet. It's been a while since I attended your live stream of any sort. I know. Like and subscribe, everyone. Everyone, the stream before the stream starts, since I know it'll be good. Content will be amazing, no doubt. Thank you so much for your support, you folks. New subscriber. Hi, new subscriber. Resume review. Oh, you guys want another resume review? Sure, I could do another resume review if you want. But today's stream is going to be extremely fun and extremely useful. Hold on. Does the stream have a title? Let me just check. Let's just do some housekeeping before we get started, okay? It says, welcome to our live show. Let me actually fix this first. How is your health now? Much better. Thank you for asking. Much better. Okay, today's stream is going to be extremely exciting because we're going to be doing performance optimization of React and AI apps. Oh my God, this is such an important topic. You know, performance optimization itself is an important topic, but when you combine performance optimization in an AI app, it is so extremely important because AI applications, they depend on AI models and the latency usually depends on those models' latency. So there's not a lot that you can do without the AI app or without the AI API on your side. So given that constraint, what is that we can do to make sure that our app looks fast, feels fast, is fast? That's what we're going to do today. And before we get deep into this, let me just make sure that the stream is updated and you all have a place to submit your app if you want to. So this is actually the app that we're going to take a look at today is actually a community submitted app. One of you submitted this app and I took a look at this app last 2 weeks ago actually. I'll give a walkthrough of what the app is today, but I just wanted to know that this is actually one of you guys' app. It's a community app. And I took a look at what the performance of the app was last time. If you remember, it was super slow. One of the complaints of the author was that the sandpack component, we're going to take a look at that, was super slow. So today we're going to see how we can optimize it. And of course, we're going to use AI to do that because AI is a tool and I'm going to show you how to use this tool to your best interest and how to step away from this tool, from AI tool as well. Wow, that's a lot of talking. And as hold on, give me 1 second. Let me actually, I have become super bad at multitasking, so let me first fix this stream. And I'm going to see if I can also live stream on Twitch or Twitter at the same time. All right, who else is here? Clear and crisp, awesome. New subscriber, Kingo's Gaming and me are new subscriber and first time chatter. No wonder. Good to know that we're going to have fun with learning something new. Yes. Hey Azim, welcome. Yes, performance optimization in an AI app is important since AI just hallucinates on random jargon. Yes. And the same content can give different results. So how do you make sure that you have consistency? Because that is something that AI is not good at. We'll get to see moving to Solid.js to fix React issues. I'm still in classes until mid-September. Oh yeah, how's your classes going? I have streaming Minecraft while relaxing, but no coding streams. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. So before we actually get deep into this, I want to know from you, what is the level of React that you're comfortable with? So if you're a beginner to React, tell me I'm a beginner. If you are a senior engineer who's been using React for a long time, tell me I'm an advanced user. Or if you are somewhere in between, tell me that I am comfortable with it. So your three options are beginner, comfortable, or advanced. What kind of React user are you? And this will help me to understand how much in detail I should go in this stream. I'm comfortable using React, trying to move to advanced user. Nice. Strange thing is that just now I got a message. Are you searching for job in Bangalore location? Me? No. Maybe somebody else is. Comfortable, awesome. Don't know ABCD of React to be honest, but still attending this to learn about a bit since I work as a performance engineer. Pretty excited. Thanks again, Shruti. Awesome. What kind of, what language are you working in if you're not working in React? And what kind of performance are you doing? I'm in the middle of senior level, haven't started advanced. Perfect. That's great. This is just the this is exactly the kind of things you want to learn to get to advanced. So I'm happy that you guys are here at this time. This is what you need to have in your portfolio, especially today in this AI age, to be an advanced engineer. And what we'll learn throughout this demo, throughout the stream, is that engineering principles are so important even today. As somebody who uses AI, learning what are the important things and learning what are the important things in performance optimization, in building a great UX experience, are extremely important today, even if you're using Claude or whatever AI tools you have. So the importance of learning your engineering fundamentals is extremely important today. It's extremely high today. The importance is extremely important. Words, English. We want to survive in this AI era, so whatever you'll teach, I'm ready to learn. Perfect. Awesome. On that beautiful note, let's get started. Okay, so here's an app that was submitted last time. You guys probably remember this if you joined the last stream, but this is an app. It's called Forge UI, and it's actually a really cool app because what it does is, I give it a force reload. What it does is on the left side, you have this like a little component here. You have this little like text input here where you can describe what kind of component you want to generate. So for example, I can say something like generate a search type ahead component similar to Google search. Okay, and then I can choose which language I want. So I can say HTML, CSS, or I can just keep it in React and Tailwind. Let's just keep React and Tailwind. When I click generate, it takes a bit of time. It actually calls Google Gemini to generate the component. And on the right side, it'll show you that component once it's generated. Okay, before we get deep into this, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what are some issues you see currently in this app? This is all you see. What are the issues that you can tell me right now? And this is going to be an interactive stream, right? So I want you to participate while I'm doing this stuff. It's not just like a classroom. This is an interactive session. So tell me, what issues do you see currently? And I will have my chat open right here. And I'm going to play some music in the background. If the music is too loud, let me know. Hopefully my mic is close enough to me. Okay, so what do we have here so far? Let's see. Lately try to understand more system design to better understand how overall performance can be optimized. Cool. No loading screen in generating time. Yes, that is one of the biggest things that I see is wrong with this app, is that you actually don't have any feedback on whether or not it is doing something. So you see the generate button, when you click on it, it actually gets disabled, which is good. But on the right side, there's no loader, there's no sort of streaming output, there's no feedback to the user that something is happening in the background. In that case, the performance, even if though it may be super fast, for the user, they have no idea. So the performance perceived is low. So they feel that the app is not doing anything, right? So that is a problem. And I feel like the app may be broken because oh, let's generate this again. I feel like the app may be broken because it didn't generate anything. This is running, right? And that's another thing. You don't know if the app is broken or if it's running because you don't see any loader screen. So that's a problem. We're going to fix that. Okay, it finished doing something, but we didn't actually see anything. So we're going to take a look at console to see if there's any errors. There are some errors. What do we see? The model is currently experiencing high demand. Thanks, Google. Hello, folks. Wow, that was me. What do you do when your Claude app or when your API is not working, not responsive? That's actually another problem that you have to think about, right? Because sometimes you may run out of tokens, you may run out of money, your API may be down. How do you take care of that? And that's not even like about performance optimization. That's just building a good, robust app. That's just good engineering principles. Lack of user experience after clicking generate button. Exactly. So there are some questions here. Let me see. I want to learn Redux. Can you please cover some basics like how it works? Only I want to know its flow. Redux or React? I just joined. Can you please brief me? Yes, we're actually optimizing the performance of an app that was submitted by the community. So right now we're taking a look at the app to see what are the current problems from a UX perspective and how slow is the app. So we just found out that our API is down, which means that there's not a lot we can do, which sometimes happens with AI. React Redux, please ignore my typo. Okay, I can do a session on React Redux at some point. Use a different one. I don't really want to switch to a different model. It's not my app. But whatever we want to talk about today, we can still do that with what we have right now, even if the app is experiencing a high demand, which is fine, which is another use case we have to consider. Okay, why don't we use state, use ref, use effect, use callback, and denounce for searching functionality? It probably is using a combination of those. We just haven't taken a look at the code. But we likely are using a combination of use state, use ref, use effect, and debounce. Devon, nice to see you. How are you? Someone I know happened to tell me this, thought it would be valuable to share. Agentic AI can quietly burn through tokens if you're not careful. The trick is to make your agents think smarter, not longer. Keep prompts tight and focused. Don't send huge context if only a smart part is in need. That is valuable information for sure. That's a good one. Death by 1,000 downtimes. Okay, cool. So we know that the API is down. That's fine. No big deal. But let's take a look at the code. Let me move the code here. I'm going to move this code onto this screen. If I can find my screens there. All right. So this is the code unedited. This is exactly what was submitted to me by the user. So we're going to take a look at this to understand what's going on. So let's take a look at what files there are. So there is this home component, which is likely where the UI, let me actually open the UI next to this. Okay. And put the music down a bit. Let agents store and reuse memory instead of reprocessing everything each time. Break tasks into steps so the model can only handle what's necessary, not whole problem at once, and use cheap model simple tasks. Yes. That is a good tip, but it is difficult to implement. So we're going to talk about how to do that. Okay, so if you take a look at the code, this is there's like a big string here that says export default function app. It tells me that this is written by AI and the author hasn't taken time to review this code. So this is literally just copy paste. I'm not sure if it's own or X or Twitch, but I think someone's spamming links they're showing in video chat. I think that is actually the music itself. So every time the song changes, it posts it in chat. I don't see it in YouTube, but that's likely what you're seeing on the screen. Tarnesh, how are you? Good to see you. Okay. All right. So First issue with this code is there's like this giant component which is just put as a string and passed around as default code. You do not want to do that. This is a bad code smell. Okay, what else? We've got template, set template, use state React. I think that's just how they set this, React HTML CSS. So this is just setting that to default. Then we've got the prompt content here, which is this one, describe your component. And for the right side, we're going to take a look at what this does. So in here, this is this component sandbag content. And if you notice down here, this is where that code is generated. So if you remember from last time, sandbag content is the one that takes long because this is the one that calls Gemini. It waits for Gemini to come back, and after that data has been generated, it takes a second to like render that content. Not a second, but it takes a while to render that content and then display it on the screen. So those are the main parts of this app. If you take a look at the components itself, really the main things are in prompt content, which is how you pass in your prompt. And then you've got the sandbag content, which is actually the one that sandbag content is actually from Code Sandbox. And this is a very common thing where you might have third-party libraries. So there is not a lot of optimization you can do within that component. So like within sandbag content, but you still have to think about how and when you load that component. So some performance optimization there as well. So that's the gist of this app. It's very lightweight in terms of code, but in terms of the functionality and what it does and how much stuff it pulls in, it's pretty heavy. There's a link to download the file, which is right here. Left side tabs. This tells me that this is written by Claude or one of the AI services. You always want to have components like this in their separate component. You can see how long this file is. So that is a code smell. This is not stuff that will optimize the performance of the app per se, but I'll show you why this is important, even in performance optimization as well. So then we've got the sandbag provider. Anytime you have a provider, you definitely want to separate them out into their own component. So sandbag provider has a few options. Template, files. I think files is how it renders that component. And then files comes from the prompt. So I think the way this is happening is you write some prompt, you send it to Gemini. Gemini sends you back files, and then you send that files over to the sandbag provider component, and then it renders that files in that nice way. You've got a sandbag preview here. So fairly simple in terms of functionality. So we're going to see what we can do. I'm going to give it one quick shot to see if AI API is back. Which website is this? This is actually a user submitted app. This is called Forge UI. One of our community members submitted this. If you want to submit your app, you can also use the link in the description to submit your app. It goes to a Google form, and I will pick apps as they come through. I hope I have the link in here. Hold on. Let me make sure. Submit your app here. Yes, that's the first link. And I'll also share this link in here. Submit your app for review. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 3 community apps in addition to this one not included, and then I'll give you 3 things you can improve in your app. 3 biggest things you can improve in your app. Oh, Azim is not allowed to post links. That's weird that even mods are not allowed. I thought you were allowed to post links. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Let's give this a quick shot. And what do we have? Describe, generate a type ahead component to create a search functionality. Let's see if this generates something. Inspect this. I think it's still down. Yeah. I think something is wrong with Gemini. Can somebody try Gemini and see if they are able to execute any commands in Gemini, or if it's just this? I'm allowed to post links. I deleted that message. Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Didi was my last sem of bachelor, so I gave few months to learn stuff, and I learned Java, script, Java, JSP, Hibernate. Now I'm learning TS, now I'll focus on React.js and also practicing Spring Boot. Wow, that is a lot. Good for you. Okay, so this is not working. That's fine. Now, that's fine. Let's go ahead and get started with this app. I don't know how much we'll be able to see in terms of improvements, but I have done this app. I have improved the performance of this app on the site by myself. So I know what are the things we're going to take a look at. So even if the AI side is not working, you'll still be able to get information out of this stream. Let's get started. So the first thing that I want you to do is use the tools that are available to you. First thing that we did last stream was figure out what was the performance optimized, or was the current performance of this app. If you remember, actually, here's a quiz for you. How do you measure the current performance of the app? Put it down in the comments. If you were here last stream, you would know, but if you were not here, that's okay. From what you know, how would you measure the performance of this app currently in its current state? Working for me, I'm using Gemini Pro. Oh, okay. Gemini Pro. Can somebody try just Gemini, not Pro? So tell me in the comments. Yes, Lighthouse is a great example. How do you measure the performance of the current app? Maybe get the easy ones out of the way, add React compiler. That is a good option by checking Lighthouse. Okay, most people use Lighthouse, it seems. Okay. Using performance tab and throttling network to slow 4G at least. Yes, that's the one that I love. Lighthouse is great. Lighthouse gives you good UI stuff in terms of what is the landing time, like what is the LCP time. Does it even give you LCP time? Like what is the time it takes to open the page, navigate the page? So from like a UI perspective, it's good, but from an execution perspective and from a functionality perspective, it's not very good. So for that, I recommend using performance tab. Why? Because what you can do is you can actually, it gives you these vitals itself right here. But don't look at this right now. But what you can do is you can actually click on this record thing. And one thing that I want you to definitely do is switch over to network tab and make sure that you have cache disabled, because you want to make sure that you're testing how a first user will see this app instead of their subsequent navigations. And then you want to throttle the network down to fast 4G or slow 4G. This app is extremely slow. So if I used slow 4G, this takes like 5 minutes. It's extremely slow. So we're going to use fast 4G. Okay, And the way to test this is you could test like how long it takes for you to land on that page. We're going to test something specific, which is the exact, I'm going to move this to the bottom. We're going to test the exact UX flow that we expect our users to do, which is paste this content in here, click on generate, and how long that takes. Mind you, the API is down, so I don't know how much we can do, but we're going to find out. All right, so what I want to do is click on network, disable cache, click on throttling of either fast 4G or slow 4G, and then click on this performance recording button. Paste your text in here. This is the UX flow that we're going to test, and then click on generate. Okay, and then once it starts generating, it'll take some time to actually generate this component. Imagine it takes time and the API is not down, which it looks like it's still down. Then you just want to hit stop whenever that's done, and then after that's done, you'll get an idea of how long it took, right? So don't take a look at this INP, but take a look at this graph. So you want to notice how long this entire graph is. And of course, this is just you measuring how long, measuring for however long. So 20 seconds here is you recorded for 20 seconds, but this graph in here, let me zoom in, this like big chunk in here, this blue big bar, those are the things you want to focus on. So you might see some like spikes in here, you might see some big bars in here. Those are the things you want to focus on, right? Because that means that that is the stuff that is taking the longest. And then if you focus in here, in at the bottom here in the network tab, you'll see that it says Gemini 2.5 flash, and that stuff took like 75 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds, 10,000 milliseconds. So it took from 7.5 to 10. So that's the one that's taking the longest. This way you know that this is the longest time of, this is the longest chunk of your recording, right? So that is the bit that you want to optimize the first thing. Now this is a little bit misleading because the API is down. So even though it says 2.96 seconds, let me hover on this over here so you can see this. So here you'll notice it says duration 2.96 seconds. Even though this is 2.96 seconds, a little bit misleading because the API is down, so it just came back right away. But what I noticed in this app is when I was testing it earlier, this took like 8 minutes, like this took a really long time, like 20 seconds. So I knew that this is the bit that is the biggest chunk in here. Now what's the problem? Because this is AI API, I don't have control over it. I didn't build it. This is Gemini. So what can I do that still improves the performance of this app if I don't have control over Gemini? That's what we're going to focus on today. Take a breath. You're so out of breath explaining it. I know, right? Speaking of which, we're going to go into a quick break. So here's what we're going to do today. We found out that this app is slow. We found out that this app calls Gemini, which is the slowest part of this app. And we also know that we don't have control over Gemini. So we can't improve our AI API. What is that we can do on the front end that will improve the performance optimization of this app? I know you all have a lot of ideas, so I want you to put that down in the chat. We're going to go on a quick break, but think about some ideas that you can use to improve the performance optimization of this app. Some of you have ideas on adding React compiler, which was a great idea. Think about some other ways you can do without changing like models that you want to use. Let's just say we don't have control over the model. We cannot change Gemini. So what is that we can do? We're going to talk about that after coming back from the break. I will see you in 5-ish minutes. 5-ish minutes. Let's do that. Be right back. Welcome back. Can you all hear me okay? All right. So, what do we have so far? What do people say? Let's see. Break up code into more components. That's a great one. I think don't trust much and do not depend on performance tab, because I don't feel sometimes its results are great. I'm not boycotting, but generally on some points. What makes you say that? Tell me more. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Azim. All right, getting back to screen share. I'm still out of breath. Okay, so some of you had really great tips on how to break the performance, how to improve the performance of this app, and we're going to implement some of them. Your lips are moving, but words are coming out. What? JK. Okay, so we're going to implement some of these. All right, so first thing that I want you to do is take a look at your tools and see what the tools tell you. So we took a look at this performance tab, and we saw this like big network bar which says that Gemini takes the longest, right? So this way we know that this is the API that takes the longest. One of you mentioned React tools somewhere. Who mentioned that? I meant no words are coming out. Who mentioned React tools? Somebody mentioned React tools, and that is a great one as well. So typically, if you have not seen the updates, typically you'd have the profiler here, which is a great one to know which components are taking long, what is the data that's coming in, and then you have the components tab as well, which is the one that tells you actually which props are coming in. But if you're not aware, you also have React tools right here in this performance tab itself, which are called custom performance tracks. So here you'll see this React icon, and here you'll see this components icon. We're going to take a look at these as well. Where did that go? Hello, sir. Where did the scheduler go? There. Okay, we'll take a look at scheduler. Okay, so this is a really good one because it tells you which component spends how much time in which phase. So this is a blocking phase. This means that nothing else on the UI is happening for this long, which is event click 40 milliseconds. Not a big time, not a concern. Very small bars in here, but this tells you on the React side what is taking long, right? So you can see here that this is like what, 40 milliseconds click event, 0.80 milliseconds remaining effects. So that means like React itself is not doing much, right? That's a good thing, which means there's not a lot of React code optimizations we need to do at this point. We're going to focus on the biggest chunks first, right? Then in the suspense and idle, you can see there's literally like nothing. The interactions here tells a different story. Some of these take long. So this is what, like, this is actually not even that big. It's just a pointer. It takes this amount of time. So you can kind of tell like which events are taking long. If your animation is taking long, it will tell you that as well in here. So for example, the 7.9 seconds, this is a cause of concern. And where is this coming from? So okay, so if you looked up, it was there was this like animation coming in, but at the bottom here the components tab will tell you, the components track will tell you which components are taking a long time. So this is also a good indication of where to focus first. Okay, and then this is how long your animations are taking. So given this, we know that the React code itself is not taking that long. The React components itself are not the prime concern right now. Our biggest concern still is this AI, the Gemini API. So I asked you, what can you do if you don't have access to the to improving the performance of the AI itself, changing the model itself? And a few of you said break up code into more components. That's a great one, because why that helps us is if you have broken code into different components, you can lazy load components, you can code split them, and you don't load the components that are not needed at the time. That's a good tip. Okay, so we took a look at our tools. We took a look at the performance tab. We took a look at these performance tracks from React. So we have a good idea of where to focus first. Now, we also have another tool, which is Claude. So what I'm going to do is, and this is where I'll show you why you can't just completely blindly trust AI, and you have to be, this is where like becoming a good engineer is important. So you still have AI tools, but this is where you intervene manually. So I'm going to say, let me make sure that I have the right files. First, get my keyboard to come back to life. Okay. Performance of this React app. And I could just stop giving the prompt here. But this is not a good prompt because this is very vague. But I've taken a look at my tools and I know where the problems are, right? So I'm going to tell it, improve the performance of this React app. The slowest part of this app is the Gemini call after generating a component. Another slow part of this app is the sandpack component that comes from Code Sandbox. So now I'm telling Claude that these are the slowest parts of the app, and these are the parts that I want you to focus on. Okay, focus on optimizing these two parts, and also give optimization tips on other parts of this app. So now I'm diverting the focus of this. Now this is a much better prompt than just saying improve the performance of this React app. Now I'm asking Claude to focus on exactly the two parts that I tell it are slow, but also give me additional optimization tips. So let's wait for that. Let's hope Claude is this promotional stream? Nah, bruh. Non-sponsored. You can sponsor me if you want, but non-sponsored. So meanwhile this generates it. Claude takes a long time these days. So meanwhile this I typically run analyze the code base as my first prompt, then run my actual prompt as a second prompt. Oh, nice. That's a good move. Okay, so while this is doing, I want you to tell me which AI coding tool are you using the most in the chat. Is it Claude, Gemini, any other AI coding tool, any code review tools? Which AI coding tools are you using currently? Cloud CLI, Gemini on anti-gravity. Nice. I'm also going to quickly check if Gemini free version is down or what's going on. I use open code with big pickle model. Oh. I've not used, what is this model? Big pickle model. Interesting. Seems like it has mixed reviews. How do you know what solution it'll implement, or just let it do and reject later? I think you mean in terms of optimizing the app, right? I'll show you. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so it seems like it has finished writing, finished generating. And now it says make this an edit to generate component. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it create a plan of optimizations instead of actually optimizing the stuff, because I want to be in charge of what it is optimizing, and instead of AI just taking over my code and just writing bullshit, I need to know what it's writing. Okay, so now it's generating a plan. Okay, let's read this. Okay, so what is the first thing that it says? I actually really like this. Hold on. I actually really like this that it says. It says Gemini streaming, which is the biggest win. Problem: generate component blocks for 5 to 15 seconds with no feedback. The user stares at a generating button while the full response accumulates server side before anything is returned. Okay. Fix: replace AI models generate content with AI models generate content stream. Stream code chunks directly into the Sandpack editor as they arrive. Thus, the user sees code appearing in real time. Perceived latency drops from 10 seconds to 0.5 seconds. That is an amazing one. Okay. I was actually, the last time I ran this, I actually gave a pretty poor prompt, which is improve the performance of this React app, without giving it any guideline on which parts are slow. So it didn't have a focus. But now that I gave it a focus, that the generating component is the slowest part, it was able to understand that it is not streaming content in, and you could actually replace AI models generate content with AI models generate content stream, and that will help in reducing the perceived latency, which is an amazing one. Okay, this is a really great option for AI apps because they usually take a while for the content to send in to your UI. So instead of waiting for that entire time, which could be 10 seconds to 15 seconds, which is why this app is slow, you can actually stream content in and show a little bit as it works. This is what you may have seen with Claude as it types as well. The content starts appearing as soon as something is available instead of waiting for like 20 seconds for the content to come in. So this itself is a great option. I love this option. Okay. And it was able to generate this because I gave it a focus on where to optimize the performance of this app. Okay, what else does it say? So that's number one. Then it says extract shared request builder. add generate component stream, prompt framework on chunk that iterates the async stream and calls on chunk. Underneath chunk, keep the original non-streaming export as a fallback. Prompt content.jsx, switch from handle generate to call generate component stream. Set the file key and template immediately after streaming parts. So sandbag is ready. Then feed each partial code string to set files. Okay, this is actually a complicated implementation. So we're going to break this down and look at this implementation separately to see how this is working. It's possible that some part of this will break. So we're going to isolate this one, which it says is the biggest one. Great. I like this example. Next is sandbag recompile mode, second biggest one. Problem: recompile mode immediate, recompiles the preview on every single state update, including every streaming chunk arriving during a 200 chunk stream. This triggers 200 compilations. Switch to recompile mode delayed. With this, it will debounce. Okay, cool. This is fine. This is kind of a companion performance optimization to this one, which is the streaming bit. So we'll hold on to this for a while. The next one is react.memo on sandbag content. Now this is a great one. Okay, every time prompt content local state changes, a user types a character in the text area, changes framework dropdown, it re-renders home, which re-renders this, even though files and templates haven't changed. Sandbag content is the heaviest component in the tree. Fix wrap sandbag content in React memo. It will only re-render when files or template actually change. Okay, so at this one, I want you to pause and think about if there's other things you can do, right? We have been talking about React compiler in our previous streams on this channel a lot. If you have React compiler, you don't need to add React memo. However, what you do want to do is remove sandbag content from sandbag content is a separate component. That's good. You do want to make sure that sandbag content is a separate component, so it is easily compiled and it's easily memoizable. What is the word? So this is a good tip. However, you don't need to use React memo. You can add React compiler. So one thing that I want you to remember is that you don't just want to take AI's optimization or AI's tips as is. You want to analyze them, and that's what the example of a good engineer is. And that's how you separate yourself from everybody else who's developing apps using AI tools versus you, and how you can make sure that you still have a job 2 years down the lane when everybody's using AI tools. Okay. Move select styles and default code outside components. The styles inside the select is an object literal. Oh, is it prompt content? Okay, let's see. Prompt content. Where is styles? Okay, yeah, this is a small one. We can remove this outside. This is not a big fix. Use callback for event handlers and sandbag content. Again, use callback you don't need if you've got React compiler. So let's keep this. Other tips: no code changes required. There's some dead weight files here. Okay, everything else is just whatever. So I think the biggest things that it gave us so far is number one, the streaming content, which actually is amazing. We're going to spend some time doing that, but we're going to do that later. So streaming is amazing, great tip, and it was able to do that because I gave it a focus on which parts of the app are slow. Okay, so number one tip, even if you're using AI tools, make sure your prompts are really good. So you should use AI tools as sort of, think of AI tools as sort of an intern who has a lot of knowledge, but you need to kind of steer them in the right direction. So if you tell them just improve the performance of this React app, they have so much work to do, they're overwhelmed, and sometimes the tips that they give are not the best ones. I've tested this app without this prompt, without this good prompt, and the tips were not that good. So you want to steer them in the right direction. You want to give it a prompt in the way. So you want to first use your tools that you already have, which are the browser tools, the performance optimization tools, the performance tracks tools in React. And with that knowledge, you want to feed that into your prompt and tell AI or Claude or whatever you're using that these are the parts you want to focus on. Streaming is great, just more complicated. Correct. Consider AI as an angel, as both an angel and devil on your shoulder. It could help you or it could doom you. True. The final decision should be on you. Yes. So if I was an engineer working on this, this is definitely something that I would store as a kind of like a medium chunk of work. I want to still take a look at what other things I can do before I get into streaming. Okay. So next part, what are some other things we can do? The other thing that it told us was React.memo. We're not going to use React.memo. We're just going to assume that we have React compiler. If you don't know how to add React compiler, it is a Babel plugin. All you have to do is put it in package.json, and then all you have to do is put it as a Babel plugin here, install it, and then your app is automatically memoized and compiled and optimized, as long as you're following the rules of React. Ooh, what is this video? Oh, thank you for sharing this video, Aziz. Okay, there's another question here, which is, but that will be design or UX issue, not performance, right? Do you mean streaming? If the question is streaming will be a design or UX issue, no, it is actually a performance issue as well. So what is performance really, right? Like performance is also how long it takes for the user to start interacting with the app or to start seeing something meaningful on the app. So if they're just waiting for like 20 seconds to see the entire content, that makes them feel the perceived latency of the app is slow. The perceived performance of the app is slow. However, if you start streaming in content within like 0.5 seconds, because the first chunk is ready, you're not waiting 20 seconds, you're just waiting 0.5 seconds, the perceived latency reduces. So you feel that the app is faster. So the perceived performance is faster. And therefore, even though it is technically a UX or UI, it's technically a UX improvement, the perceived performance is faster. So not all performance optimizations are just about changing code. It is also about improving the UX of it. Loading screen being one of them. We talked about that a little bit earlier, where we said, when the user has clicked on this generate button, nothing really happens here. So for the user, it feels like the app is dead. If you add a loading screen, they will see that something is improving, something is giving feedback. So the perceived performance is faster. It's a psychological effect. Exactly. It takes the same time, but we think it's slower. Exactly. Because nothing is happening on the screen, right? And UX is a lot about giving feedback to the user. Oh, okay. So that was the first thing, using AI code tools, just Claude as is, to understand what are the things you can improve. So we understood streaming is one. We're going to take a look at that at the end if we have time today. But before I move on to the next one, what other questions do you have? Let's answer some questions. Okay, I have a question for you. Did you all watch the video that I recently released on why I quit my 9-to-5 job? I was actually very nervous to release that video. I haven't really talked about leaving Slack and why I quit my 9-to-5. So I'm curious if you watched that video and what did you think? I'm going to share that video here. Why I left my 9 to 5 to start content creation. We're learning effects of depression in class while having this cheerful live stream in the background. Oh my god. Okay, before we move on to the next section, I have a quick poll for you. All right, here's your poll. How familiar are you with React? I asked this in the beginning of the stream as well a little bit, but the more people join, the more votes come in, the better it is for me to understand how much in detail I need to go for each of the stuff that I'll be talking about. AI, or are you real? I am so AI. Will you do the code review? This is actually code review itself. What I'm doing here, I'm reviewing your code for performance optimizations. So if there's anything else you want me to do, let me know specifically. Any suggestions for me? What suggestions do you want? Is this even a question? Expert, obviously. The code it generated streaming one. Oh, will you do the code review? Yeah, it actually didn't generate code because I asked it to create a plan. And that's another thing. When you're asking AI for prompt, like when you're asking AI for code changes like this, which are kind of like all over throughout the app, you want to take them one step at a time. You don't want to like accept all of the edits. It can get out of control pretty easily. So what I like to do is ask AI to create a plan for me, and then based on that plan, I can review that one step at a time, so I have control over the code it generates. So as of now, it did not create any code, but when it does, I will review the code because you do not want to accept everything it says. How many degrees do you have? I have 34 degrees. 30, let's see, 34 degrees, 30 degrees. I'm kidding. Does it matter how many degrees I have? Like I have covered JS, Java, Basic and Advanced, now learning it in practicing Spring Boot. I would actually say build apps with it. You have covered a lot of ground, JavaScript, Java Basic, and then now doing Spring Boot. That is a lot. So build an app. Now because you know the front end and the back end, you should build a full stack app, and then you should add AI into it. See how it goes. Oh, Zishan, you're back. Welcome. If you're the same Zishan. 34 degrees, or is that age rather? Funny. Bamboo, good to see you live. Hey, good to see you. Actually, you all, tell me where you are joining me from. Somebody here is from Pakistan. Welcome. Thank you for joining. What time is it there? 1:30? 1 a.m.? Let me check. One a.m. What is Spring Boot? I'm gonna let Dhanish answer that. Good to see her live on a live. Thank you. I had to move the stream like twice because of medical emergencies. But good to be back and healthy. India, nice to meet you. Gave us the scare that day. Tell me about it. Pray for my good health. It's a backend framework of Java, exactly. Spring Boot is actually a backend framework of Java, and it is used very widely in industries, companies that use Java as their primary language for building backend APIs. Excited to see you live streaming after many times. Thank you, Zishan. Good to see you back. Gave us the scare that day. I was thinking to start a daily streak and post my learning on Twitter. Concept revision with projects. Oh, you should totally do that. Definitely. And write a blog post about what you're learning as well. How to evaluate if you're expert, intermediate, or beginner? Oh, that's a great question. People describe it as in terms of number of years of experience, but I like to say the number of, it really depends on like how comfortable you are building applications by yourself, and how comfortable you feel with the React, especially the things that are already there. A good example is, do you understand RSCs, React Server Components well? If you do, you're an expert. How well do you understand React hooks? Do you understand what the different React hooks are? And do you know when to use each? If you do, you're likely an intermediate. If you're just getting started with React and you know how to look up the documentation and then build a few features, have state management in your app, you're a beginner, you're getting to intermediate. So really, like, what is your comfort level with React? I think most people kind of think of themselves in between intermediate and expert, and that's a great place to be at. I want to learn React.js after TS. Any suggestions, Dee? I think I have a crash course. No, I don't think. I know. I have a crash course on React 19. I'm going to find the video for you. Would you please shed some light on first-time content creation fear? Content creation fear. Actually, I talked about that in that video, which I shared just a little bit earlier. So watch that. My latest video on my channel, which is why I quit 9 to 5. So watch that. All right, let's get back into it. Hold on. I was gonna do something and then I totally forgot. Give me 1 second. I actually I worked on this app a little bit over this week, and I'm trying to find if I still have my updates, but it seems like I did not commit them. Of course. So I guess we'll redo the work that I had done already. Oh, okay, it is here. Perfect. Sweet. Cool. All right, so next step is hold on. All right, so next step is, we know that there's a few things in our app that we can change. The biggest tip that Claude gave us so far is to implement streaming content, which is a great one. However, there are other things that we can do in this app as well, besides just like adding a React compiler, which is the other tip that it gave. There are best practices that are published by Vercel. So those are actually a really great place to start, especially if you're using AI as a tool to optimize the performance of your app. Without those skills, Claude can give you good tips, but they're kind of based on generic research, but they're more generic. Okay, one great way of using an AI tool is by providing it a skills document, and that helps to tell AI model how to work in that specific domain. So it's like giving it a new skill, giving it it's like giving it more optimized skills, right? So it's like improving the skills of that AI model. That's what we're going to do. So if you don't know, Vercel has published React best practices, and this comes as part of your Next.js apps if you have Next.js, like a new Next.js project. But if you don't have a Next.js project, you can still get these and get it in your app. So that's what we're going to do. Where is it? Open there. Okay, so they have published this agent skills and React best practices as part of their skills thing. There's like React native skills and stuff. This is the one that we're going to focus on. So if you look here, the way this works is you've got the skill.md file, which is where all of the optimizations that they have thought of, that they have figured out by reviewing a bunch of different repositories, are laid out. So they have also organized this in based on critical, high, medium, low, medium, and low. And some of the optimizations here include like eliminating waterfalls, bundle size optimization, server-side performance, client-side data fetching, re-render optimization, rendering performance, JavaScript performance, advanced patterns. Some of these are extremely important, like server-side performance, bundle size optimization. These are extremely important, and these are some of the tips that AI will likely give you, but you can't like really rely on AI without the skills document. So the skills document will be a great place for you to maneuver your AI model to give you the best kind of tips for optimization given these best practices. That's what we're going to do. So in order to get this, the way you have to do this is you need this agents.md file, you need the skills.md file, and then you need this rules directory. So this is exactly how, these are three things that define how to set up agent, how to set up the skill, how to tell agents, which is the cloud model, to use that skill, and how those skills are described. This is exactly, you can actually read these, but this is exactly how to this is exactly the best practices laid out in a skill format, so you can just feed it to your cloud. So let's do that. Now I've done the job of actually downloading these files and importing that in my repo. So I'll show you how to do that. So I've got the agents.md file, literally just copied it from here, agents.md. I've got the skill.md file, same thing, copied it from skill.md, and then I pasted the rules folder in here as well. So now this will help Claude know that when I'm telling it to look up React best practices, it knows, now it has the skill to know what are those best practices. Okay? So let's go ahead and use Claude again and now see what are the tips that it gives. Now I'm going to give it that basic prompt that I had given earlier, which is improve the performance of this React app. And then I'm going to specifically say use skills.md, skill.md. as a reference for React best practices. Okay. While it does that, we're going to chat. What does the chat say? दीदी एक जोक सुनोगे? सुनाओ. Oh, this question about Flutter. Is there any future in Dart in Flutter or React Native? Flutter and React Native are still popular. I don't know about Dart. Can't say anything about it. I hope you remember me, Didi. I remember you, Danesh. I have suggestions for you, Didi. Please, if possible, bring Mern Stack with Gen AI. Now it's grow up on your channel, and many wishes for grow up, health, stay with happy family with blessings. Thank you, Zishan. Thanks for the tip as well. Flutter is horrible without state management libraries. It still haunts me. If you pick a framework and know it very well, you can easily switch or adapt new other frameworks as well, I believe. So if it wouldn't be there in future, you should be adaptable. According to me, that's a good tip, actually. Have you used Svelte? How was your experience? I have not used Svelte. Start with rules of React. Best practices by Vercel, React compiler, streaming. Yeah, in that order. Any performance numbers given by AI, 5% better, 10 seconds faster, are very, very, very rough estimates. Don't rely on them. Agreed. Joke. Me, AI optimizes React component. AI has 47 nested use memo hooks and a prayer. Speaking of which, let's see how many use memos did AI add so far. I think I forgot to put it in plan mode. Okay, give me a plan instead. I forgot to put it in plan mode, but actually you can do that. I forgot how to do that, but you can do that instead of like it actually editing. Oh, there it is, plan mode. So instead of it just editing all the time, it'll give you a plan of what it wants to do. It can be useful, especially in this case where I'm just evaluating what are the different options. But when you're building and you know what you want to do, plan mode can be very annoying. But when you have a blank app and you're just starting out, plan mode is really good. And especially if you have something like this, where you have an app that's been built, you're not adding new features, you're just improving the performance, plan mode is really helpful. Okay. All right. Okay, so it says here's a plan based on skill.md, but it did not give me a critical versus medium. Let's do this. Rewrite the plan and organize in terms of priority. And nobody got time to look at all of these. And while it's doing this, let's also take a quick break. It's been what? Over an hour since I took the last break. Is it? I don't know. Let's take a quick break. I will be back in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, this will take its time and we will know exactly what to do. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. After the quick break, hope you're all ready for the final round. I am extremely tired. I don't know about you guys. So we're going to take a look at the plan that Claude has generated for us after we've given it skills, React best practices skills, and see what are some things we can do and what are some things that are unnecessary for this app. One thing that I want you to remember is that anytime AI gives you prompts, anytime AI gives you a plan, not all of it is supposed to be accepted. That is your job as an engineer to figure out the higher priority items from it and accept those. So now that I'm positively out of breath, let's take a look. I'm awake just to see the streaming implementation. I hope you'll do that soon. You know what? Streaming implementation is actually a pretty big chunk, so we won't be able to do that today. So if that's why you're awake, you can take a nap. Or you can go to bed, because we're going to do that in the next stream. I want to focus a full stream on just streaming, because it is extremely important and extremely complicated. So here is the plan that AI generated for us. Where is the plan, bro? I think it's this one. All right, so let's take a look. Priority 1, critical, stop React select from re-rendering on every keystroke, which is this re-render memo with default value. Okay, interesting that it is critical. The styles object passed to select is defined inside the component. Wow, that is its critical. Okay, so we saw the styles object last time, right? It says that select component has the styles. You want to move it out of that component into a different object so that it doesn't re-render every time. This is actually a good tip. I don't think this is critical. This is a good tip because of that style object. I'll show you where that is. Where is it at? In prompt content. Here it is. Because of the styles object, this actually re-renders every time there is a keystroke. On every on change, it will re-render. So even if you add React compiler, this won't be optimized as well because you're passing in an object here. This is a good tip, not a critical, but good tip. Let's keep going. Stop sandpack provider from reinitializing on every render, which is following this rule, rendering hoist JSX. And it says the options object, again there's an options there's an object because of which there's a new re-render. I actually talked about this in one of my videos as well, where I shared why your app re-renders. It's because you are passing in objects, and objects are unstable dependencies. So what it says is hoist sandpack options to module scope. So before you have options as inline, which is auto run like this, but instead you should do move it out into an object and then pass that object in. This is similar to the one before, which is it is actually for every re-render, it is actually optimizing the re-rendering. Good tip, but we're gonna not work on this right now. Not critical. Let's see what other things it has. Shield the heavy sandpack editor from unnecessary renders, and that's because of re-render memo. When the user types in the prompt text area is generating is still false, and files template haven't changed, but home re-renders and sandpack content re-renders too. It's not memo. Sandpack is one of the heaviest components in the tree. Wrap sandpack content with react.memo. And this is the tip that Claude was able to generate even without these skills. So good one, but let's keep going. Stop default code from being recreated on every re-render. We talked about this when we looked at the code. Let's keep going. Fix state closure bug in navbar toggle, which is re-render function set state. On click. Oh, okay. So instead of not open, you set previous, and then you set not previous. Memo is navbar to guide against future parent changes, so it's more on memoization. So what are the critical things that it came up with? The critical things were basically remove the styles object, and then remove this other object, which is options object, and add react.memo. So this is good. Like in terms of just React code, like I told you, React code is pretty basic in here. There isn't a lot of React work that's happening. In terms of React code, this is good plan. If I were to implement this, if I were to fix the optimization of this code, I would take these critical, like these things that it marks as critical, I would take these and just accept them. So there is a question in here. I'm going to get back to it in 1 second. So I'm going to approve the plan, and I'm going to take the edits that it said, and I'm going to accept it. So then it's going to go ahead and start doing the things. So it says select styles out of propped content, sandpack options out of sandpack content. Now I'm going to take a look at the code that it generates. So select styles is now an object, comes out in here. And now I think the next step it's going to do is oh shoot, did I quit it? Sandpack options comes out as an object. That's good. So now instead of like embedding options within, it's actually a different object. Good. And there we go. We're just going to keep accepting the like we saw every code that it was going to do, every code change it was going to do, and then now I'm just going to accept the code change that it has already planned. So remember, I didn't just accept everything that it gave me. I took a look at the plan. I understood what the plan would do. I understood their implications. I understood if it's really critical or medium, or if it's something that I want to do later on, which is what we did in the last step. It said streaming content is something you should do. We're going to do that at the end. And then I understood what the priority is going to be, what the code change is going to be, and then I implemented this. So I'm not blindly taking in. And that is how you should approach development with AI tools. Cool. All 6 optimizations are done here, and you can notice the code change in here. Select styles is a different thing, and then when it actually comes in here, it actually passes it as an object as well. So good. Code changes are accepted. Good. These are good. These are decent. I wouldn't say these are like mind-blowing code changes. These are good in terms of just what React code can do. This is good. If I give this a reload, and if I see if let's see if it can actually generate this. Build a type ahead component. Let's see if AI is still working or if it's still down. I don't see any errors, which is a good sign. Okay, it's got some mock data in, so it's actually building this, which is good. I don't know why preview hasn't loaded. I wonder if something broke in there. If I look at console, there's no errors. But the good thing is that I am not seeing any network errors, which is great, which means our AI, Gemini AI is working. Good thing. And it's also adding some code in here for handle change. I think I said build a type ahead component, and it's built that. And I think preview is not generated yet. Maybe that's just taking a while to load. But it's good. It's working. We're going to quickly measure the performance of this at this point. And I'm going to make sure that I've got my cache disabled, and I'm throttling to fast 4G. So remember what I told you last time. How do you measure the performance of a UX flow? You can go to the performance tab, click on record, and then now in here, write something like actually, let's give it a different component. Build a menu component in React. Drop down menu component. Okay, let's try this. Now if I click on generate, I also added this loading screen just previously. So now you actually get some feedback that something is happening. Did you use fast API? Because this seems like slow API. This is Gemini. Oh wow, I missed some comments. Let's see. I made one app in Dart, will never touch it again. For mobile, you can go with React Native or Go Capacitor.js. It's very good for using any framework with it then. Teach your kids, what does the chicken give you? Student meat. Very good. What does the pig give you? Bacon. Great. And what does the fat cow give you? Homework. Nice. In terms of expressiveness, I think Dart is better. Did you go run a marathon? I wait just to see the streaming implementation. Welcome back. Everyone like and subscribe. Everyone like and subscribe real quick. Come on. Let's go. I need to see you all liking and subscribing right now. Like, if you have not subscribed, what are you even doing? If you haven't joined as a member, please consider joining as a member. It really helps support my channel. Thank you so much. Go take a nap after the stream is done. I need a nap like right now. It's creating the object over and over again. Each render, I think that's why its tickering is critical. Yeah. Also, Adao, why you didn't mention the part of the app that need optimization like you did in your previous prompt? I didn't do that because I want to see. Oh my God! Wait, I think something is wrong with the code that is passed in here. So we have to take a look. This is what, like, you update something, something broke. The reason I didn't add which part of the app I should need optimization is because I want to see what optimizations will it do based on the skills itself. So I like to only change one variable and then check the results. And then the next step I would do is, now that I know, given just a generic prompt, it's giving me all these reactive rendering optimizations. Now if I tell it focus on Gemini or focus on this thing, what does it do, right? That's how I like to optimize that's how I like to make code changes, especially when you're using an AI tool. Okay, so now I totally forgot that I had this running. So you'll see that this is like what, 160 milliseconds, 160, 100,000 milliseconds. But obviously that's not how long this thing took. So how long did this thing take? We can take a look at that by looking at these graphs. All right, so what we're focusing on is not this entire graph, but these smaller graphs in here. Let me make this higher. So the whole thing, like the major thing, was up to, let's say, here. This is where all the stuff is happening, and then we see here after this is pretty much idle. There's nothing happening after this. So it's all done doing its job. So the Gemini stuff took from 20 milliseconds to 40 milliseconds. It's like 20 seconds. But the React stuff is up to here. Now, interaction to next paint is actually one of the important metrics in here, because what we're doing here is we do something and then we're waiting for something else to happen, right? In this case, like, we hit generate button and then we're waiting for something here to happen. That is an INP. We interacted and then we're waiting for the next paint. If it took like 2 seconds for the loader or for any other text to appear, that INP value would be much bigger. Right now, our INP is 100 milliseconds, which is actually a good one. That's a good metric. So there are a few things we want to focus on, not just the biggest bar, which is actually the AI API, and we don't really have control over it. I think I lost my thing. But, you know, not just the big bar that we were looking at, which is the Gemini API, we don't have a lot of control over, but also the things before that, which is how long it takes for any other interaction to show up on the page, what is the perceived performance, and also how soon does Gemini start working, or how soon does the API start getting called. So even if we don't have control over Gemini, which is the biggest bar, there's still other things we can do. And that's what we're focusing on in this stream. So on that note, we're going to take a pause here and resume in the next stream. But to recap, what did we do today? We took a look at the current performance of the app. We saw how long it took. I'm forgetting the numbers. I wish I had taken a screenshot. But if you remember, we clicked on generate button. Nothing really happened on the right side. At that point, our AI app was broken, but nothing really happened. There was no feedback coming. If you remember from the previous session, it took like a good 20 seconds for data to come back and then implement it. We then used Claude to figure out, we then actually used React Profiler. We used the performance tracks, and we used the performance tab on Chrome to figure out the biggest chunk of our app that is slow. We found out that Gemini API is the AI call that is taking the longest. We don't have control over the API call itself and the model itself, but there's other things we can do. One of them being adding a loader screen. So I added a loader screen that reduces the perceived latency, so it looks like it's faster. Another thing that we got from Claude, Claude's review, is adding streaming components, or adding the ability to stream data in. We're going to implement that in the next stream, so stay tuned for that. But I also showed you how to add skills to your agent so that you can add React best practices, which Vercel has published. It's open source, you can go check it out. And with that, you can know, you can actually make your Claude optimizations better, or you can get the tips. You can get better tips from Claude because they're more informed in terms of what are the React best practices. And then finally, after taking a look at those React best practices, we implemented a plan. We asked Claude to implement a plan to improve the performance optimizations that came back after we added best practices from Vercel. Most of the performance optimization tips it gave was to remove objects, so it is actually declared not within the component level, but at the module level, and that helped to prevent re-renders. And then I added a loader screen. In the next step, in the next stream, we're going to implement streaming, number one, and we're going to implement some other UX features to improve the performance of this app. We already implemented loading screen today, which was an easy win. You can also add React compiler to take care of some of those memorizations. I also want to hear from you. What other topics do you want to see, whether it's in performance optimization realm or something else? Let me know in the comments what other things you want to see. Have you used SolidJS? What are your thoughts on it? I've used SolidJS very briefly. I think it's really cool. I think I need to build a better app. I think what I want to do is like build a Netflix app in SolidJS to really get a good idea of how to use SolidJS. I don't have a lot of experience with SolidJS. Something you can do in a real app, you can use mock service worker for Gemini response, so we remove that completely. Instead use a fixed response, then we only worry about actual code. Yeah, that's a good one. So basically that removes the problem that we're seeing right now, which is that API is down, so we really cannot get anything back. That's a good one. I actually thought about adding a mock service worker, but I want to keep the Gemini API because I still want to show you that even though that bar stays constant, there's a lot you can do before that Gemini bar itself, like the Gemini network call itself. There's a lot you can do. But that's a good tip. Okay, what other topics do you want to see? Let's see. Oh shoot, what happened here? Context. Oh, context. We are actually optimizing the app performance of a React app. This is an app that was submitted by the community members. You can also submit your own app. You can use the link in the description. And according to the poll, there are 50% of you who are on intermediate level, which is a great place to be at. It's like a really good distribution. 50% intermediate, 25% expert, 25% beginner. Awesome. All right, folks. Hold on, let me take a screenshot of this so I remember. All right, folks. Thank you so much for being with me on the stream. Thank you for being patient while I was away for a week or two while my health had declined. I will come back next week. I hope to be back next week. Please like and subscribe before ending the stream. Yes, please. Thank you. My goal is to give you this performance tips every single week and review your applications and give you tips on how to improve the performance, and not just give you tips on how to improve your app, but help you build a mental model on how to improve the performance of your apps. If you want me to review your app, please use the Google form, which I'm going to paste in here as well, and submit your app. My goal is to have 3 different apps that I will review and give you 3 different tips for each of those apps. So please submit your apps because I want to see different optimization techniques. I want to share different optimization techniques in each of those apps, and I think it'll be really beneficial for you. We'll do like a I review your app sort of video where I share 3 things you can improve in your app. Submit your app through this link. How to make sure I get your stream notification. You can make sure you get my notifications by clicking on my name and then hitting the bell icon. So anytime I launch a new video or go online live, you get a notification. Thank you so much for joining today, you folks. Have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next stream. Bye.